here. Let me fire up my screen. My name is Dave Jenks. For those of you who we haven't met before, I've been in the real estate business over 30 years. Began in upstate New York with Century 21, became a training director for them, became a regional director for them. They moved me to Texas to become a divisional president of 7 states out of Dallas. And I saw this little company growing down in Austin, Texas, always study my competitors. And I said, wow, if I were inventing a real estate company, it would be like that, not like this big brand name corporate company I'm with, even though we were #1 in the world at the time. It would be like this company, Gary Keller's building, so focused and dedicated to the agent and their success, so training oriented and economically so beautifully run that they can build legitimate profit sharing out of that. I was astounded. And it wasn't interesting because 4 years later, I got a call from Mo Anderson, who said, Gary and I, Dave, would love to have you work with us. We think you know more about real estate franchising than anyone else in the country. And we love the way you teach and reach out to agents and share the wisdom of how to be successful in this business with them. So I got to do that. As Paula would tell you, we began early on. We only had a few thousand agents, a couple thousand actually, when I started. Now we have 182,000. We're #1 in the world. And so the lesson out of that, I want all of you to understand, and it's really about what we're talking about today. And that is that your future is never determined by where you were or where you are, but where you want to go. It's all about your intention. Your past is not a prisoner. It's a place you can learn things from. Your present does not block you. You can take actions now with your eye on the future, and then you can build whatever future you want. And that's what the lesson of Gary Keller and Mo Anderson and Dave Jenks is. You can build the world's best, largest real estate company in history, and you can do it because you have that. And I'm going to teach you today the things I learned that empowered me to do that. I call it getting what you want, the power of visioning. And let me just add one other thing that's very important, and that is the fact that you are here today. This will change your life. It will in some way change your life, maybe a big way. It will change the trajectory of your real estate career. And one of the things that Gary and I always said to each other was the best real estate agents we work with are learning based. They make education part of their strategy for getting better. They go to more training than the ones who probably need it more. They go repetitively. The mother of mastery. That's a thing to remember. Repetition is the mother of mastery. So that's how you get what you want, is that you go after it and you build into it a learning-based strategy. So let me just kind of guide approach, but it all starts with you going after what you want. That's important. It's a lifelong process. Now, for me, I didn't learn until I was 40 years old. Before that, I was doing what people expected of me. I was kind of just using raw effort and power. I was achievement oriented, but just only because I don't know, I was built that way, had some encouragement toward it. But I was really wandering in my life. I didn't have clarity. When I was in my 30s, I tried so many different things and nothing was working out right. I almost took my own life at that time. I was dealing with cyclical depression. And then something crystallized for me, and I want to share that with you. And when it started to crystallize, it started to become a part of who I was. And what it led to was a life of achievement and satisfaction. If you take what's happened in the years since my 40th birthday, it's been amazing what I've been able to accomplish, the number of people I've been able to touch, the positions I held of executive responsibility, the best-selling books I got to write with Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, the number of people and a couple of other companies that I've built even after I left my active time with Keller Williams. I helped build another national company called Master Networks, which is a company of local chapters where business people learn from each other as entrepreneurs and share referrals. And I built their university, Master Networks University, and helped their founder, Chaz Wilson, write his best-selling book, The Entrepreneur's Formula for Success, 5+1, The Entrepreneur's Formula for Success. Anyway, it's powered my life. And I want to share with you because it's actually a simple set of techniques that if you apply them in your life, and there's no just pure way to do it, you go after what you want. You don't have to imitate anybody else. This is about you getting what you want. And I believe it's a spiritual process. Thought, word, and deed, right? God has created us in God's image. And that says that you can be a creator too. Just like God created the universe and life and consciousness, you can do that in your life. And you do it with the process you've been empowered with, which is first you think it, then you say it or write it, and then you do it. You take your great thinking, convert it into words, and then take it to the world of action, and you can make incredible things happen. And of course, we're in a world full of creativity and people going on that process of thought, word, and deed. And then here's what it does for you personally. It brings you clarity. When real estate agent, we say it's not about the money, it's about being the best you can be. And I think we all are after wanting to be the best we can be. And when we do go after that, we gain immense self-confidence, not arrogance, not aloofness, not cockiness, but confidence, real deep self-confidence in what we're about and why we're doing it and where it's taking us. And then finally, we get control of our life. We create the outcomes we want. Things turn out the way we want. Now, not always, not perfectly. We may have to make some corrections and learn some things along the way, have some mistakes, fall on our face. But in the end, we really become a person who controls what goes on in their life. They're not a victim, okay? They're accountable. They're making good things happen. So this is the process. Now, there are 3 steps to doing this. Number 1 is you have to give yourself permission to go for what you want. And that sounds pretty simple, but a lot of people don't. They're trying to meet other people's expectations. They're trying to please other people. As somebody once said, if you don't have your own plan, you'll be part of somebody else's. Well, a lot of people are part of somebody else's plan. Maybe it's parents or peer group or whatever, but they're following other people's expectations and they're not going after their own. So the first thing you have to do is say, it's okay for me to go after what I want. It's not selfish to go after what I want. As Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true, and that thou canst be false to any other person. In other words, you will truthfully move to the world by going after what you want. Great artists whose music we listen to or art we see or movies we watch, they didn't do it for us. They did it for themselves. They wanted to be actors, actresses, writers, creative people, videographers, artists. They wanted to be that for themselves. And in the end, because they mastered their art, they gave us a gift and we all benefit from that. So remember, it starts with you. It's okay to mission. Number 2 is then go to the work of deciding what you want. We're going to talk about how to do that. It's not always easy. Well, what do I really want? There's a lot of choices I have. What do I really want in my life? Do I really want that? How sure am I want that? And then why? If I want that, if I want to be successful in real estate, if I want to earn 100,000, 200,000, if I want to be a millionaire real estate agent, I don't want to do that. I mean, what's the payoff? What will it change in my life? So that's number 2, really focusing on what you want, getting clear on that and why you want it. And then the final thing is go for it. Be a learning based, learn from others, find mentors, find people who are doing what you want to do, copy them, imitate them, learn from them, be mentored by them, and then go for it and do it with focus. That's Gary Keller. Urgency, get at it today, and patience. Here's a neat thing in the life of an achiever. There's an interesting balance. One is one that Linda McKissick says. She said it's going after, it's being happy with what I have while going after what I want. I want you to write that down. It's being happy with what I have while going after what I want. People who go after things because of a deficit, because they don't have it and they feel a lack and they're trying to fill that lack, are not as clear and motivated as people who are happy with what they have. They're grateful, but then they know there's more that they'd like to do and they move toward it. There's the modern neuroscientists have studied an interesting thing. It comes out of positive psychology. And that is the old-fashioned way of thinking was that success led to happiness. And what they've discovered is it's opposite of that. Happiness leads to success. When you are happy and you are grateful and you feel good about yourself and Paula, let me ask you a question. Did I cut out? I can't hear you. You need to unmute.
Yes, it cut out, but I think I still see everybody's on, it looks like.
Yes, it does. Okay, so somehow or other, I don't know why it cut out, but I think I'm back.
Yes,
so
you're back.
Okay, good. Thank you. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened.
We're good.
You know, technology, right? We're all dealing with technology.
Exactly.
So yeah. So we go back. Here we go. So as I was saying, it really is about having this balance between being happy with what you have while going after what you want. That happiness leads to success. It's not the other way around. So really working on your happiness and your gratitude is good. And then there's this other balance between urgency and patience, that we want to be urgent about today's activities that lead us to where we want to go, but patient about the outcome, because the outcome will take its own time. And a lot of time we put a lot of this is true in real estate for sure. We put in a lot of front end effort, but it often takes a while for us to get the outcome or the results we want. And that our desired goals will be achieved is a big deal. A little pause for technology right now. Hang on one sec. So what's happening is that
Dave, you've cut out again.
Thank you. Coming back.
Okay.
Okay. Paula, thank you. Stay in touch with me. I've cut because I think my internet is struggling for some reason. Usually I have very bandwidth, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to another source that I have and see if that takes care of the problem. I haven't had this happen before, so I'm working on this. Hang on one sec. Let me just do this right now. Hang on one sec. Okay. So I'm reconnected back, everybody, and I really apologize for this. I have no idea why it cut out, but for some reason, my local internet has chopped out. So I'm trying to do a substitute, but
Can you hear me, Dave? Do you know if the condo is FHA?
all right, Paula. Hi, Paula. Are we back on?
We are back.
Okay, so it looks like my internet reconnected. So I'm going to dive in and keep going. Thank you, everyone, whoever's staying on here, for your patience. We'll get it going right now, and let's go back to where we were. And everyone, send your good positive energy to the internet, and hope that it helps us. So let's go back. So we did the 3 steps, and I just want to emphasize again that what we're always involved in, it's an interesting thing that we're involved in this being happy with what we have while going after what we want. That is such an important attitude, and also having an urgency for what we're doing today with a patience about when the outcomes will happen. Because in real estate, we have to do a lot of front-end activity in our training and learning. We covered this back in Magic Comes in Threes. This is not an easy business to do. People would come to Gary and I and say, it's not rocket science. And we'd say, oh, yes, it is. Done at the highest level, this is rocket science. And you have to put the time in to learn it, to master it. So let's do that. Here's the mindset. The mindset is one of seeing as possible that which is not now true. That's what we mean by visionary. A visionary is not some sort of prophet sitting on a mountaintop. A visionary is someone who sees as possible that which is not now true, that I can see myself earning $100,000. I can see myself earning $500,000. I can see myself being successful in real estate, even though right now I'm not. So that's what vision is. Number two is having foresight. Gary Keller says the key to success is having foresight, to be able to see what it will take to get where I want to go. It's the sense of the path. That's what we tried to do with MREA, with that book, is to give real estate agents the path, that if they followed this path, they could take their business to the highest possible level. And that's what we wanted to do, give people foresight, but you have to read the books to get the foresight, to see what the path is. And then an attitude of determination, because there will be obstacles. And I'm going to cover this a little bit later. There will be things that get in your way. Gary Keller says you fail your way to success. And that's my experience. Most high achievers I know had to overcome alcoholism. I had to do all of that. That was a big challenge for me. But here's the thing, there will be obstacles, and just be committed to overcome them. Have an attitude of determination. And then there's a skill set, and that's what I want to focus on today. And that is, there's a set of skills that high achievers develop for themselves. First, they practice, they study, they try new things, and they rehearse the way they want things to turn out. That's what we talk about, mastering scripts and dialogues and mastering your listing presentation. We talked about that last time. There's sort of a practice element. A lot of people think they can come into real estate and make it and wing it on their personality and their enthusiasm, and you can't. This is a profession that takes study, it takes work, it takes building new skills, it takes trying things that you might not be comfortable with, and it takes rehearsing success. So number one skill set is practice. Number two is discipline. Do it every day. Do your practice every day. Do your routines. You know, we have that wonderful formula from Camp 443, which was the course we did for new agents before Ignite. And we said there's a formula for success, 10-5, 15-5. If you do that every day, 5 days a week for 2 years, your success in real estate is guaranteed. Guaranteed. 10-5, 15-5. Put 10 new people in your database. Call 5 people you know and remind them that you're in real estate. Send out 15 thank you notes and preview 5 properties. It's that simple, but it's the discipline of staying at that every day. We say in the book, this is a powerful, you are just 3 hours a day and 2 years away from a millionaire's database. We measure it in the book. We show you what kind of a database it would take, that you're contacting 33 touch, 8x8 when you first bring them in. And if you do that consistently, you can be doing 100, 200, 300 transactions a year, right? But you've got to add people to your database and communicate with them. And we just say, you're 3 hours a day and 2 years away from having a millionaire's database. That's the discipline. So stay at it. Time block for lead generation and for other things that you want to get done. A lot of people don't understand how important time blocking is, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, you make it just a part of who you are. Great achievers don't even look like they're working very hard. I can create seminars, I can teach seminars, and my wife always kids me, you make it look so easy. You just do this so easy, because she's doing seminars, but she's at the front end of doing that. And so it takes her a lot of work. But for me, it's become a discipline, a habit. It's just a part of my natural behavior. That wasn't true 30 years ago, but it's true today, because I put those habits in place. You can do the same, right? Now, here are the payoffs we remember. I just want to clarify them. When we do these things I'm going to talk about, the how-tos of going after what I want, it adds clarity. We know exactly who we are, what we want, why we want it, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it. We have confidence. We don't worry. We don't panic. We don't doubt. It's working like a lot of people who haven't done this preparation do. Their worry circuits go out of control. They get panicked. I mean, not just anxious, they get panicked. They start taking medications. They start thinking they need therapy. No, what they have to do is just work at this process we're talking, because it adds to your self-confidence. And what we said earlier, remember in Magic Comes in 3, that competence leads to confidence. So when you have competence about the business you're in, it will automatically lead to your confidence. And when you have competence in planning what you want to do, you'll have the confidence. So you won't worry, you won't panic, you won't doubt. And then finally, it'll give you control. You will make good things happen. You will know you can make good things happen. You will say that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the reasons to work with me is I make good things happen. I'm a person of intention and commitment. I make good things happen. When you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you, because I am a person of intention. So you want to be able to say that. And boy, when you can say that to people, they want to work with you. You're in control. Now, here's the thing I've always found in my life. It's really good to follow a structured path. That's what's so powerful in Keller Williams. Keller Williams has a structured path that agents can follow when they begin, ignite, when they want to get to the next level, working with sellers and buyers, those courses, when they want to go to the highest level, MREA. And of course, on the way, the book Shift tells us the tactics. So what that gives us is a guide path. But I think many of us need a mental guide path. And for me, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People has been my guide path. It's only 7 habits. It's only 22 words. Why wouldn't you memorize that and have it just be your guidance in life? And here are the 7 habits. Number 1, be proactive. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. Number 3, do first things first. Those are called the inner victories. The outer victories are habit number 4, be win-win. Habit number 5, seek first to understand. Habit number 6, synergize. Do things through people. That's why Keller Williams is so powerful. We do things with each other. We support each other. We are great teams. We have a sense of family. We help everyone achieve their goals. And then number 7, the 7th habit is exactly what we're doing here. Sharpen the saw. That's what he calls it, sharpen the saw. In other words, go learn, sharpen your saw. Other people are working real hard to cut the log with a dull saw. No, you go out, you sharpen the saw, and then you come back and cut through the log really fast. So master those 7 habits. By the way, he also wrote a book called The 8th Habit, which is Find Your Voice. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Find your voice. In other words, do it uniquely your way. You don't have to imitate everybody else. Now, the other thing is Gary Keller and I, as we built Keller Williams University, we wanted to give people a track to run on, a mental track. And so we built the 6 personal disciplines, which are the ways that high achievers think differently from people who don't achieve as much. And number 1 is commit to self-mastery. Master new habits. The one thing is called focus with the 20/80. Focus in your life with the 20/80. And then number 3 is go from E to P, go from entrepreneurial to purposeful in your life. Because just doing things energetically, enthusiastically, what we call entrepreneurially, will only get you so far. But to break through that ceiling, you want to do things purposefully. And there's a whole paradigm on how to do that. And then number 4 is be learning based. And we have a whole set of 10 ways that you can learn to do things better. Number 5 is a very interesting one. Remove limiting beliefs. See, we all have limiting beliefs that came into us from maybe parents or peer groups or people when we were younger, or bad experiences that we had. And we have to remove those limiting beliefs. And that often takes therapy. It takes therapy and work to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs that we have. One is you have to become aware of them, and then you have to find ways to get past them. So that's number 5. And number 6 is be accountable. And that means not a victim. Be accountable means if it's to be, it's up to me. And then of course, it's even better if you let somebody else hold you accountable. So they're the fundamental kind of guidance, philosophic or mental guidance. And when you incorporate that into your memory, into your thinking, and you can say, what would be the way that right now that what am I beginning? Begin with the end in mind. What end am I trying to create, right? How can I be more win-win? How can I synergize? And so get those perspectives clearly in mind, right? And then use the power tools. We're going to dive into them. Number one is a spiral notebook. See, to me, the thing that gives you control in your life of all the information and complexity is a spiral notebook. Sounds really simple, but I've been using them ever since I met Gary Keller, and he told me about it, and I began to incorporate it. Otherwise, all my notes and all my things I was keeping track of were ever hodgepodgey. I couldn't find them. My desk was a mess. With a spiral notebook, you use it, and I have 165 of them, all put together, you know, and I can look back at any time in my life on any day and see what I was doing and what I was writing down. And you use it for capture all the personal information before you put it in your database about people, any commitments you're going to make, your to-do list, and then you keep your notes from, like, when you go to a seminar like this, or when we were writing our books, I would keep notes in there for every session we did. Now, you don't ever remove the pages of the spiral notebook. If I was doing a file writing our next book, say MREI, if we had notes in there, I would make a photocopy of those and I would put those in the file for that book. So there's times that you need to take things out of the spiral, but you don't tear them out, because what it gives you is a chance to always look back and find something. Our mind works chronologically. We can think, you know, I went to that seminar last October, I think it was the middle of October, and you can flip through your notes and, oh, there it is, October 12th, I was at the seminar. And then I look and I recover my notes. So a spiral notebook is just such a, not only a time saver, it's a productivity tool, because it really helps you keep the information of your life in an organized retrieval. To me, that's the most powerful thing, because I like to see my time in big chunks. And if I look at a month at a glance and I can see upcoming appointments or events or training I'm going to or teaching, I get a kind of a holistic look at my life and my vacations and time off and, you know, dinner dates and things like that. So I find a month at a glance physical calendar is much easier to keep track of. I can erase things and replace it. I use my iPhone now to keep track of major things like Zoominars I'm doing. But when I had the most complex form of my life's gotten simpler. When I had the most complex form of my life, when I was, you know, a divisional president for Century 21, or I was building Keller Williams with Mo and Gary, I was using the spiral note. I was using the calendar, a month at a glance calendar, to maintain the use of my time. And then, of course, and we'll get these, but Keller Williams teaches them, the 1-3-5, it's the way to get focused, and the 4-1-1, it's the way to stay on track and accountable. Those are all power tools. We're gonna get into some detail on that in just a second. But so here's the question: even though the research says that fewer than 10% of people have written goals, fewer than 10% of people have written goals, and yet those with written goals out-earn 4 to 5 times what those people who don't have written goals, and they tend to have more satisfaction in their life. And even in real estate, which is a very achievement-oriented business, fewer than 20% of agents have written goals. So if goal setting and planning is so important, why do so few people do it? Well, because it's not easy. It requires 3 things. One is it requires thinking. A lot of people fill their mind with music and watching social media and just, you know, YouTube and all that. They always keep their mind busy on something external to themselves. And there's something about the actual act of being quiet and getting your mind focused on something that is not easy. It's work. It's a habit that has to be built. The habit to really take time to think about things, to become, as my wife Gina says, who teaches women about this, to become mindful, thoughtful about what's really going on and what you want to do and how you're going to deal with it. So thinking, one is it takes thinking, that's work. Number 2 is it takes making decisions. A lot of people don't like to make decisions. We know that in real estate. People don't make decisions easily about what price to put on the property or what to put in their offer, or should they buy this one, or should they accept this offer. People struggle with it because they always think there's going to be some other alternative, right? What is it? FOMO, fear of missing out. We have, a lot of us have FOMO, We're always afraid if we make one decision, because it's true. When you make one decision, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to a bunch of other things. That's just how life works. And that's also how success works. You decide yes what you're going to do, and you say no to everything else. And then that leads to number 3, which is making commitments. One of the pioneers in Keller Williams, his name is Tom Caldwell. He was the president of Van Schok Realty, the largest independent in Denver. Went to a real estate leaders meeting in Florida, got to hear David Liniger, the founder of Remax, and Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, both speak on a panel. And he came back to his wife, Gwen, and he said, Gwen, Gary Keller is the future of real estate. And he went and resigned his cushy job with Van Schok, went to Austin and bought the rights to build Keller Williams in Colorado, right in Remax's backyard. And he made it grow. And 3 or 4 years later, 5 years maybe it was, he sold the region for a couple of $1 million. And he and his wife now travel the world. He's a real history buff. So he said something, though, to me that I'll never forget. He said, Dave, the key to success is doing what you say you'll do. The key to success is doing what you say you'll do. Promises made, promises kept. So he said, I keep a commitment list in addition to my to-do list. And if I say to somebody, I'm going to get back to you, or I'll get you this piece of information, or I'll call you about having lunch, or let's go play golf, I write that down as a commitment. And then I fulfill my commitments even before I do my to-do list. Interesting. So it requires making commitments. When you go after something, whether you're going to commit to adding 10 people a day to your database, or sending out a mailer to your farm area once a month, or doing lead follow-up on your leads, any of that are.
We lost you again, Dave.
It takes work to learn how to call for sale by owners. It takes work to learn how to do an effective listing presentation. It takes work to do anything worth doing. So here are the 3 reasons that a lot of people just wing it. They love to go with the float, go with the breeze. But that's not what high achievers do. That's not what achievers do. They do what we're talking about. So here's another thing that has been said. When you know why, you'll figure out how. Tim Wood, one of the people we highlighted in the back of MREA from Big Bear, California, said, the right why kicks the butt of any how. So when you're focused on why you want to do things, you'll find the way. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's how it works. Maybe I'm the teacher today that you were waiting for, because now you know why. When you know why you want to succeed, why you want to achieve new things, why you want to build new skills, why you want to take more control of your life, when you know why that's true, you'll figure out the way. There's lots of hows. The book MREA and the book Shift, those 2 are incredible books on how to succeed in real estate. Incredible. They're worth reading over and over and over again. They should be sitting on your desk, coil bound, laying flat so you can flip through them, because they're really scannable, easily scannable. And then have MREI over to your right to talk about how to build wealth and invest in real estate. So here's the thing. The key is to know your big why. I think your big why grows over time. I think it gets clearer. It may not be clear at the beginning unless it's spiritual. My big why is to please God. My big why is to take care of my family. My big why is, as Gary Keller says, and we say on the front of the book, to be the best I can be. And then you want to know your other whys, your other motives. Write down the words have, do, and be, right? What do I want to have in my life? Possessions. What do I want to do? Experiences. And then what do I want to become? Be. What skills, what things do I want to add to my nature as a person? And then remember, there's this wonderful old story in the book Switch, How to Make Change When Change is Difficult. So by the Heath brothers, Dan and Matt Heath, Heath. And in there, they tell the wonderful old story, East Indian story about the driver, the elephant, and the path. And they say, all of us, this is all about how we get to where we want to go. One is we're the driver. We know where we want to go, and we have clarity on that. And the clearer we are, and the more insistent we are, the more likely it is we'll go to where we want to go. And then the path is the way to get there, the mileage, that's the way. That's what MREA is, right? The path to get there. But they said until you motivate the elephant, nothing will happen. Until the elephant wants to go where you want to go. And the elephant is your subconscious. A lot of things that neuroscientists now understand, and my wife Gina studies deeply, is the neuroscience of the subconscious, the mind below thinking. And it is responsive to what we tell it, but it is where the power is. So when we know why we want to do something and what we want to do, we empower our subconscious. And when we do that, the abilities we have and the creativity we have and the insights we have and the drive and energy we have is unlimited. The elephant, we know how powerful, that's what's so neat about that metaphor. Little driver up here, little path going down, massive elephant full of muscle and energy and staying power. That's what our subconscious is, but we have to guide it by the driver, and we have to motivate it by telling it what the payoff is for us to go on that path to get to our destination. And then we just really, I would say to you, just discover what your unique motivators are. We're going to use a little exercise in a second on how to do that, but it's okay for you. Remember, God has created us each to be unique, and it's okay for you to go after your unique motives, and they don't have to match anybody else's. They do not have to. But what are yours? Do you know them? Check them out, right? Now, how to make it work? Here's how we make it work. Remember the power of intention. Our future is determined not by where we've been or where we are, but where we intend to go. Commit to a process of planning where we start to go from thought to word, and then we can take action, make it a habit, make that thought, word, deed, habit, connect it to your whys, make sure that you're motivated to go do this because it's going to be work, and then use the power tools. And we're going to dive for a second now into the power tools. What are they? I think there's 4. What I call the dream list with lights, which was one I invented, and I'm not sure a lot of others haven't seen it really articulated anywhere else. The 1-3-5, we know that. We teach it in Keller Williams. The 4-1-1, and we'll get to those in a second. And then a really powerful accountability process, because we say that's of the 6 personal perspectives. The last is a success is having written goals. Another 10% is having an action plan, and 80% of success is accountability, because that's how you stay on track. So let's take a look. Dream list with lights. Here's the problem. The problem we have is that we have 2 parts of our mind, at least. One is a creative, I'd love to do this part, the enthusiastic child part of our brain. And the other is the judgmental adult that says, oh, careful, wait, don't get hurt, don't burn yourself, put on your, clean your room, put on your coat. It's all those warning signs. And often they are well-intended in our life, but they also are restrictive because they always are looking for what could go wrong, or warning you, don't try that, don't do that. And so that tends to crush our dreams, rain on our parade. So here's the way this process works. It separates those 2. I say it's like, having that work the way I just described it is like having one foot pressed all the way down on the gas pedal and the other foot pressed on the brake. And what's going to happen? You're going to burn out the engine. Well, we want to avoid that in our life. So here's what I say. First is use green light. And that's where you create your dream list. And that's where you brainstorm. So what you do is you take your little judge, your red light thinker, your negative critic, and you tell it to go to its room and say, I'm not going to do anything without your approval and without your checking it, because I know you're looking out for my interests, but I don't need you right now. And you go cut the door, close the door. Now you put yourself in a quiet place with no interruptions, maybe a little Baroque music playing, maybe, the lights turned down, spotlight, maybe some incense burning. Get yourself in a real creative place. And then start writing down all the things that you'd like to have, do, and be. And you don't have to do them in any order. Just when something says, you know what, I'd like to have a big screen TV. I'd like to have a new car. I'd like to have a vacation home. I'd like to have a new dress. I'd like to have a mountain bike. I'd like to have a motorcycle. I'd like to, and then, or I'd like to travel the world. I'd love to go to every state. I'd like to visit the national parks. I'd like to go sailing. I'd like to go sailing on the ocean. Whatever it is, all the things you want, or then the things you want to be. I'd like to be more confident. I'd like to really understand and be able to speak another language. I'd really like to understand computers and how to use all of the Microsoft tools that I have. I don't know how to use a spreadsheet. I'd like to learn how to use a spreadsheet. I'd like to learn how to use command. I want to really become a commander of command, because that, I know your business is your database. Anyway, all the things you'd like to become. Now, do these on a list. Now, my recommendation is, and I'll tell you why in a second, you'll understand why, do it on a computer spreadsheet. In other words, if you don't know how to use Excel or a spreadsheet, have somebody show you how to just load that up on your computer in a spreadsheet, because a spreadsheet gives you a whole bunch of lines and you can create columns and then you can do things on it. So what you do is you have a column that says dreams, and then under it, in short little partial paragraphs or phrases, you put down these dreams, and you put down as many as you can. You try and develop maybe 100, 200, maybe 300. Take 2 hours, I've found, take 2 hours and do that 3 times. And your goal is to get as many on that list as you can, because what you'll find is your first ones will be what's called normally acceptable goals, that others have told you should have, or you thought you should have. But then when you get deeper and other goals trigger you, you'll start to say, well, I'd really like to do this. Others might not approve of this, but I'd like to do this, or this may not make sense, or I may not make money at this, or this may not be, but here's the thing, you're not judging whether it's possible, whether you could do it, whether it's even right or wrong, none of that. This is the creative process of creating a list of possibilities. You're writing it down doesn't commit you to it. That's important. Don't say that. Don't say, if I write it down, I need to do it. Therefore, if I'm not sure I don't want to do it, I'm not going to write it down. No, write it down. It's a creativity exercise. That's all it is. That's all it is. Try and get a list of over 100, 200 if you can, or more, on your computer. And by the way, don't worry about repetition. If you write down, I want to, travel the world. Oh, gee, maybe I wrote that down already. Don't worry about it. Just write it down again. Or go to detail. If you write down, I want to travel the world, and say, well, where would I like to go? Oh, I'd like to go to Japan. I'd like to go to Hong Kong. I'd like to go to France, Italy, whatever it is. Write down all the countries that you'd like to go to. And so remember, this is it. You've created a dream list, and it's long, and it's on the spreadsheet. All right. Now you go invite your analytics side, your red light, to come out and say, okay, here's my list that I've brainstormed. Let's take a look. And what we're going to do is evaluate each dream on 2 criteria. You could do more, but I think the simple way is to do criteria. And it's going to be doable and important. Those are the 2 criteria. Doable and important. And so after the dream list, we create another column called doable. In other words, how easy would it be to do this goal? And if it's very easy, it gets a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, gets a 10. Like call my mother and tell her I love her. That would be a 10. If it's difficult, like sail around the world or become a millionaire real estate agent, maybe it's a 2 or a 3, right? Because it's very difficult. Doesn't matter. You're not judging it. You're just saying, how doable is this goal? Is it a challenge, or is it really doable? And then the next column at the top, it says import, meaning important. Is this important? And on a scale of 1 to 10, you rate it. And 10 is very important and 1 is not important. So remember, on the doable, 10 means it's easy, 1 means it's very difficult. On this scale, 10 means it's very important, 1 means it's not that important. And you go through and and really quickly, this isn't a heavily analytic. You say, oh, that's about a 5. Yeah, that's about a 4. That's about that's a 7. Okay, yeah. And you put these numbers down for each of your dreams, each of your 100 or 200 items you have on the dream list, right? And you do it as a quick exercise. Shouldn't take half each part of this. You have a dream list that you created, and now you have analyzed it for its ease of doing and its importance to you. And now you create another column called power. This is the power column. And in the power column, you multiply the numbers in the other two. So if I had, call my mother and tell her I love her is a 10, easy. It's 10 because it's very important. So it's 10 times 10, it's 100. But if it was sail around the world, it might be, wow, that's a 2, but I'd really kind of like to do it. It's a 5, so 2 times 5, it would be a 10. So you do this for all of the items on your list. So what you now have is a power rating, if you want to call it that, for each of your dreams. A combination of doable, because if it comes up high, you might just do it because you could just do it easily. If it was a 9 doable and a 5 important, it's a 45. That still might be high up on your list because it's so easy to do. Anyway, you take that. Now here's what you do, and that's why you like using a spreadsheet. You sort that list by the power rating so that you have the highest power rating at the top and it goes down. And someone can show you how to do that. It's easy. You just select the spreadsheet and you select that column and say that you want it sorted in descending order on that column. So now your 100s at the top, your 90s are next, your 80s, and on down. Now, this doesn't mean, by the way, that you've committed to it. It does not mean that you've committed to it. It just means that you've done the power rating. It's a guidance system for you. But now we go to the blue light, which is decisive. This is where you're making decisions. This is where you're making commitments. This is where you're setting goals. And so what you do on this dream list is that you take those goals, those numbers, the power number, and say, okay, am I committed to that? Yes, I am. If you are, the next column is called date, D-A-T-E. And that's the date. Either I will start it, like I want to work out 3 days a week. That was my dream. I want to work out 3 days a week. Okay, I'm going to start on Friday. And I put down the date, whatever Friday is. I'm going to work 3 days a week starting Friday. Or if it's something I want to make $100,000 and you realize, I can do that this year, then you put down 12/31/21 is the last day of the year. Or if it's I want to net $500,000 and you say, well, I think that's going to take me, I want to do it, but I think it's going to take me 5 years, then you put down the end of the year 5 years from now. So you can see how that works. Now, if you don't put a date after it, you're not committed to it. You have not put it on your goal list. It may have a high rating, but you look at it and go, nope, I'm not ready to commit to that. The question is, am I ready to commit to this seriously, to the level of where I'm going to do it for sure? That's your commitment list. And now you can put it on a calendar, right? Now you can put that on a calendar. You can put all those goals and when you're going to do them and when you're going to start them or when you're going to accomplish them. And now you have dollars in real estate. Well, you may have then a lot of other sub goals, how many listings you're going to take, how many people in your database, all that will drive off of these major dream list goals. So these aren't all your goals. These are just your major goals that will give you direction for your other goals on the 135 and the 411, which we'll get to in a second. Okay. So this is called the dream list with lights. By the way, I will send you all these slides. If you will write me, dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com, I will send you all these slides, plus Gary Keller's chapter on high achievement, which is in the book, a re-edition, the 2012 edition of the book Shift. He wrote a new foreword. It's 16 pages. It's the most brilliant thing ever written on why be a high achiever. And he did it out of a discussion with his son, John. So it's very much done in the words and the thoughts of a teenager or a young adult. It's good for any of us, but it really is. Gary has so much studied this idea of success and achievement. This is a brilliant piece, 16 pages long. So I will send you a digital copy of that so that you can read it yourself. You may not have it in your book. If you have the Kindle version, it's not there. And also you could make copies of it and share it with any loved one you have that you really think could be thinking, maybe more high end in their life. So I'll send you that. And then I'll also send you a little thing I'm going to read at the end called from my forward to the book, The Art of Getting Back Up, because I think that's one of the most important mindsets that we have. I'll send you all three of those things, all the slides and those 2 items. All you do is send me an email, dave@kw.com, and give me your 3 ahas, any 3 ahas that you got from this presentation. Just send me your 3 ahas and I'll send you all those items. Okay. All right, here we go. Now, the 135, and I think many of you know what this is, and if you don't, Keller Williams has a lot of training on it. I don't want to do it now, but it's a way where you establish your fundamental goal toward anything. So say you want to make a certain amount of money in your net income in your real estate business. Well, that becomes your 1. So anytime you're in a meeting where people are talking about getting things done, you say, what's our 135? 1 is the main goal, the main measurable goal, that if we hit this, we will have really done what we were trying to do. And then the 3 priorities are the activities that lead to that goal. And then the 5 steps are the creative part of it under each of the 3 priorities. What are the 5 things I'm going to do in that priority to get to where I want to go? So if I were a top agent, for example, my 135 would be 1. Item 2 would be transactions. How many transactions am I going to do? How many sales am I going to create? And then 4 would be how am I going to control my expenses? What's my net profit? How am I going to control my expenses? And then under each of those 3, I would have the creative steps I'm going to take to do each of those 3. So for me, as a top agent, that would be my 135. But you could do a 135 for anything. If somebody says if their child says they want to succeed or do better in their math class, you'd say, well, let's do a 135. How would we know you're doing well? Well, I'd get a B or better. Good. Let's put that down, B or A. What are the 3 things that will help you get to that? And then what are the 5 activities under each of those 3 things? 135 is a powerful way to get guidance on a item by item basis. And then there's the 411, and this is the Gary Keller invention that's so good. It's about converting your goals into activities that get things done and allows you to be held accountable. So the 1 is your goals for the year. We say no more than 5 or 6, both business and personal goals for the year. And then monthly, we have your sub goals of those goals, plus any projects you want to accomplish, like get your database set up or get your mailer ready to go to your farm area. And then each week, and you only do 1 week at a time. Remember, this isn't a calendar. This is a focused action system. So you have 1 page and it has your annual goals, and the next one has your monthly goals, and then it has room for 4 weeks, but you only do 1 week at a time. And then you set your activities for that week. And of course you do check marks that you hit those. Okay, that's your 1-page guidance system, your focus system. Now, what you're going to do is develop a rhythm of focus. And here's the way I do it. Write this down: 2 days dash 2 hours dash 20 minutes. So what that means is on an annual basis, I take 2, maybe 3 days to plan my annual goals, to set up my goals for the year and anything else I want to do as part of that. But that's my goal setting for the year. Then once a month, as I come to the end of the month, I take 2 or 3 hours to review my last month and plan my coming month. So now I'm correcting. I'm seeing, what are my goals now for this next month? And then every week you take 20 to 30 minutes to review what you did last week and set your activity goals for this week, because those are all action goals on the weekly basis for next week. And you do that every week. If you follow that rhythm of 2 days, 2 hours, 20 minutes, that gives a rhythm to focus. And then, of course, someone can hold you accountable. And here's the key. Accountability systems are really important. And here's what an accountability system is. You pick someone you respect and you empower them, whether that's a paid for MAPS coach or it's somebody that's a peer, but make sure that you respect them and that they know what you're trying to do and they can tell you the truth, okay? And you empower them to, quote, hold you accountable. You may do it for each other back and forth. Number 2 is you meet on a regular, consistent, short basis, no more than 10 or 15 minutes, to review and hold yourself accountable to what you said you were going to do. And then you have a productivity tracking system where you put how many people are in your database or how many leads you got or how many appointments you had, how many listings you took, how many transactions you closed, your income, any of the numbers that you're tracking. And remember this fundamental phrase in life: what you track improves. That's why tracking systems are so important. That's why Keller Williams is the most profitable real estate company in the history of real estate. It really is, because we track profitability every month and then we share it through our profit share system. But because we have this tracking system, we then can help all of our owners and market centers be more profitable. So anyway, you have a production tracking system. And then there's the 5 questions, and you should know these 5 questions. They're very simple. This is all an accountability session is. Question 1 is, what were you trying to do? Question 2 is, how did you do? From your tracking system. Question 3 is, how do you feel about that? Because we're in an emotional business. If we feel bad, we'll make corrections. If we feel good, we'll do more of it. And then the 4th question is, and what are you going to do now? That's your goals for the coming period. And maybe they've been the same, or maybe you've changed them. And then the 5th one is, what could get in your way? Just to kind of be careful. Is there anything that could get in the way of you accomplishing that? Right? So those are the 5 questions, and they should only take 10 minutes, 15 at the most. As Gary Keller said, if you go more than 15 minutes in an accountability session, you're into therapy. Now you're explaining why you didn't do something and why you've always struggled with that and how hard it is, or you don't know how. So it either is training or therapy, and there's nothing wrong with training or therapy, but it's not accountability, and this isn't the time to do it. So an accountability session, stand up, 10 minutes. What were you trying to do? How did you do? How do you feel about that? What are you going to do now? And then what could get in your way? Okay, so accountability, it's a big deal. And then here's a fundamental thing: tell the truth. Face the facts, no excuses, right? No therapy. Tell the truth, face the facts, own it, and recommit to what's happening next. And then here's the final thing I just want to talk about, and it's called dealing with the demons. There are things that get in your way, and there's 3 things: addictions, diversions, and distractions. So how do you deal with those? Well, first of all, the only way to deal with addictions are self-awareness. There's only way. No one else can say, oh, you know, you're an alcoholic, you need to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, you really need to give up that smoking. Oh, you know what? You have problems with anger management. I think you spend too much time watching sports. What are you playing those computer games for all the time? See, people say those to people who are into those addictions, and they don't even pay attention. They get resentful. They push it away. So the only way you can cure addictions is to become self-aware. It wasn't until I became self-aware that I was an alcoholic that I could go to AA, admit I was an alcoholic, and then overcome it. I had to be self-aware. No one else could talk me into it. So one of the keys in life is to become very self-aware. I was self-aware that I cared too much about other people's opinion, that I wanted to please everybody, that I said the things that I thought they wanted to hear instead of saying the things that I thought were truthful. And I had to learn how to give those addictions up. I had to give up other addictions. So self-awareness, mindfulness, and then, as the modern psychologists say, meditation. When you learn how to meditate, you can quiet your body and your mind and get to a place of health where you come out of it with a renewed sense of creativity and um, and holistic thinking, right? Healthy thinking. So overcoming addictions, they'll get in your way for sure. Time use addictions for sure. Then diversions. A lot of us have hobbies. I've built up hobbies all over my life. A lot of times they've taken up way too much time. I had a hobby of watching, NFL football every Sunday afternoon. I wasted 7 or 8 hours. I know I was wasting. It didn't feel good afterwards, right? There's one way you can tell whether it's a real thing you want to do or a diversion is how do you feel afterwards, right? At the end of it, do you feel better than you were at the start of it? Because a lot of diversions, we feel good at the beginning. Oh, I'm going to watch football. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to play golf again. And at the end of it, we go, man, that wasn't very good. I didn't enjoy myself. My team lost, whatever it is. Now, I'm not judging any of those activities, by the way. I think your own recreational activities are your choices. And not all recreational activities are diversions. But sometimes we spend time doing things. Social media can be a diversion and an addiction as far as that goes, where we're always watching how many likes we got and what people said and all that stuff. And yet it isn't leading us to the goals that we have. So that's the only thing, we're the only one that can decide that. Is this what I'm doing? Does it matter? Is it really me? And how do I feel after I've done a lot of it? And if it's not all positive, then we need to say, okay, maybe I need to rethink the use of my time. And the final one is distractions, and that is being part of somebody else's plan. If you don't have your own plan, you'll be part of somebody else's. And a lot of us who are yes people, always, if somebody says, oh, Dave, would you do this? I want to say, oh, yeah, sure. Dave, would you help me with this? Oh, yeah. Can you just take a little minute? Yeah. Gary Keller does not do that. I mean, we would be in our writing session. People often ask, how were you able to write, that book, that best-selling book, 1.4 million copies sold, still #1 on Amazon.com today. How did you write that? When you were the company was small, you had a small staff, you guys had other jobs you were doing. How did you do that? And my answer to that was Tuesdays with Gary. Every Tuesday afternoon from 1 to 4, Gary and Jay and I would get together and work on the book. And by the way, if somebody tried to interrupt that, like if Mo Anderson knocked on the door and said, Gary, I just have one thing I need your opinion on, and he'd go, Mo, don't interrupt it. We're writing the book. So he's tough. Once he's set his time schedule, he's focused and no one interrupts that. And sometimes you have to be a little tough-minded and maybe, tick people off because you're maintaining your focus. Oh, they wouldn't even give me the time of day. Well, no, they had other things they were doing with their time of day. So learn how to say no in a nice way. And I call it the pause that clarifies. And it's like this: if someone says, "Hey, Dave, God, we got this committee, that I'd really love you to serve on because you'd be so good at this. Could you take? It's only going to be like an hour or two a week." And I go, "Hey, thank you for asking me. I'm really honored that you thought of me for that. I'll tell you what, got a lot on my plate right now. Let me check and let me see. I'd love to do it if I can. Let me see if I can. I'll get back to you this afternoon." And I call him back and I say, "I'll tell you what, I'm loaded up. If I said yes to this, I wouldn't be doing you a favor or myself a favor. So check back with me maybe in a couple of months," right? Or somebody says, "Hey, Dave, I just need this one question. I know you really know how to do command, and I just have this one question for you. Would you help me with that?" And you go, "Oh yeah, I'd love to help you. That'd be great. Look, I can handle that kind of thing between 4 and 5 this afternoon. Put your name on my door and tell me what the issue is and what you need help with. And then between 4 and 5, if anyone else is on the door, I'm helping them too. Then I'll see if I can help you," right? So you give them a way, but don't say yes right now. Don't let it be a distraction. Don't let it ruin your time control, right? So control your focus. That's the key. So in doing the planning, you do all the work, but then you have to deal with the demons, addictions, diversions, and distractions. And a lot of success is being able to do that. So here's what I'll tell you: adopt an achievement mindset like Gary Keller. And again, I'll send you that How to Be a High Achiever, that 16-page thing that he wrote. It's powerful. It's very powerful. I'll send that to you. And then use all these planning tools. Do that. Avoid the distractions. Really work at that. And stay on track with accountability, because that really makes a difference. And then there's just one other thing that I want to add to this right now, and that is be mentally strong and resilient. You know, a lot of people don't understand that the game of success is not easy. I mean, Gary Keller says you fail your way to success, and I think that's true. I think that's true. And a friend of mine, Wayne Solomons, asked if I would write a foreword to the book he was writing. This was about 3 years ago, called The Art of Getting Back Up. And I want to share this with you because I really think it is kind of perspective on this whole idea of being an achiever. Here's how it goes. Here's what I know. All achievers will deal with failure. They will deal with doubt and discouragement and even depression. They'll feel fear and weakness. They'll lose friends they thought were forever, and they'll feel judgment they don't deserve. Their hopes and dreams will get cloudy and unsure, and they'll want to stop trying so hard. They'll want to avoid the pain. But here's what I also know. This is the path of the free enterprise warrior, of the independent contractor. This is the story of the entrepreneur. This is the burden of heroic heroes. It comes with the territory. It's just part of the game. It's the challenge we must endure. And beyond the darkness is light. Beyond the pain is joy. And beyond the burden is contribution. And beyond the doubt is meaning. So I say, have at it. Bring it on. Get ready, prepare for it, absorb the wisdom and the art of getting back up. Learn the steps and master the skills. Feel the power, the resilience, and the tenacity. Bring that confidence to your work, to your venture, and to your purpose. Know that you will certainly get knocked down, but you will never stay down, because you have the unstoppable power of persistence. You embrace the optimism and the challenge of always getting back up. So remember, if you write me with your 3 ahas, I'll send you all the slides plus that Gary Keller 16-page chapter and the thing that I just read to you. And just in the game of all this, and it is just a game, I would say to you, feel the power and enjoy the journey. All right. We are back. If anyone has a question, feel free to chat it in and I will respond to it. Or if you want to make a comment, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. You know, the 3 things we've covered, you know, the magic comes in 3s, how to really build the foundation of your success and become competent in this business. And then why list with me, the heart of a listing presentation, and now getting what you want, the heart of becoming a really intentional, planful, make it happen person. Those are, to me, those are the fundamentals of success in any game you play, in any demanding game you play, like real estate is. Real estate is not an easy game. And so, again, just write me, dave@kw.com. Again, I want to thank Jonathan for taking the initiative to bring me here, and for Brian to fund it and support it. Thank you, those of you who've attended, and I encourage you to go back and listen to the ones we did formally. I'm sorry for the little technical issues we dealt with. I have no idea. As I said, I've done 230 of these, and that's the first time that I've had that internet issue. So don't know what that was about. Don't like it. Sorry for it. And you know, that Jonathan and the team will tell me if I need to redo this. If that made such an issue for this, I'm happy to redo this if you guys would like. All right. So thank you very much for being here. And bye-bye and good luck. Thanks. Bye-bye.